All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Up and Moving. My name is Isaac. I'm a grad student here in the Kinesiology and Integrated Physiology Department at Michigan Tech. The goal here of Up and Moving is we want to provide community members with a physical activity resource that is free and it's available and acceptable and accessible across the area through some remote activity here. Today's workout is going to include a lot of chair-based exercises as well as a little bit of resistance training. So with what our equipment that we'll need this morning, I'd ask you to make sure that you do have a chair around you, preferably one that's not wheeled, that's going to run away on you. Hopefully one that's stable, maybe not like a comfy cushion with the with a squishy cushion or anything, something with like a stable base. And then other than that, some sort of resistance, just because I'm in a lab and the dumbbells are down the hall. I like to use books for my resistance, maybe just a few pounds. We're gonna be putting it over our head. So think about that for how much resistance you have, whether it's a few water bottles, a detergent bottle, even anything with a handle that you can grab onto is great as well. For instance, if we're using books, you sort of really have to have a wide grip if you're holding onto a book with a lot of chapters in it. So preferably something that you can grip onto would be ideal. Or if you do have dumbbells, then that's even better. So we'll give you a few minutes to think about that. But other than that, we're going to go through. Oh, got another joiner here. Awesome. And as we're just starting here, we'll say good morning to a few new viewers here. I will repeat what we need for our workout this morning is a chair that we can use for not only stability, but we'll be doing a few exercises where we are sitting on the chair, and then some sort of resistance that's just a few pounds. And in case we're just grabbing our audio, I'll repeat it again during our warm-up here. So if you're, whenever you're ready, actually, I'll get a timer going so I don't waste your time past 30 to 45. Make sure we're doing well for that. All right. Okay. All right, everyone. Once you're ready, you can go ahead and just join me here in the center of the room. This is always my favorite first stretch of the day as we're warming up. We can put our hands to the ceiling, even have a little bit of an arch in our back. So if I'm just standing still, even try to think about, yes, my hands are going to the ceiling, even try to get my mouth and my eyes. Tilt my head back a little bit, feel nice stretch in my lower back. And as we're doing that, we can hold this for a few more. We look like an X right now. Then we can come down, keep my legs relatively straight as I come down. You can come down here and touch the ground if you can, that's great. But even if you're coming down towards your ankles, just keeping a relatively straight leg here, feel a nice stretch in our hamstrings. And then as we're down here, we can go from side to side. So we'll feel a little more stretch in one leg at a time. One more at each side. Okay, we can shake that off. Then we're going to go ahead and go through it one more time here. So once again, have a nice wide base. Come up and touch the sky. Tilt your head back. Three, two, one. Then we can go back down towards the ground. So we'll go right between our toes first. Come down and touch the ground if you can. The wider your base is, the easier it'll be. And as we hold this for a few more seconds, we can transition into going from side to side. We'll go a couple more each leg. Okay, so we can shake that off. Then we can move into just some loose rotations. You can let your, as I'm rotating to the right, I can let my left foot come off. Basically the foot behind me, as if I'm swinging a golf club. You can let that foot, you can be pivoting on your toes, allowing you to get a little more rotation. Or if I'm overanalyzing it, just do your own thing, but trying to give you some cues. This is even one of those stretches where if you are in your chair too at your desk during work, if you need to take a break, even just sitting on your chair, if you have arms on your chair, while I'm keeping my body towards the camera, I can always grab onto the leg or to the arm and hold on to that to help me really rotate. There's just a stretch option for you. Sure, those always feel good. Okay, now for our last rotation one, I always like these ones as well. This is like a teapot. So instead of rotating like a top or coming down, we're just going to come up through the side. This is called the frontal plane, which doesn't really matter for this, but now we're doing movements and stretches here in 3 different directions. We'll go 3 more each side. Okay, so now we can go ahead and start stretching our quadriceps here. So we're just going to do a quick standing quadricep stretch with a nice reach towards the sky. This is always a favorite here on Up and Moving. I know we do this one a lot. It's a great one though, never fails, especially because we're getting into a little more balance work as we have to stand on one foot. So if your balance is struggling a little bit, maybe just hold the stretch for a second so you can come back down and catch yourself. But the longer you're able to hold it here, the better. And if you don't need your arm above you, that's even cool as well. Well, one more for each leg. 1. Okay, go ahead and shake those off. Get my chair out of the way. Now we're going to move into some hamstring scoops. So we'll stretch for the backs of our legs now. A little more dynamic now as we can move around the room and do these. Or if you're very limited in your office space or your room, garage, etc., you can always do them in the same spot too. But it's always nice to be able to get a little more dynamic movement in instead of just staying in the exact same spot. You can even go down your hallway towards another room and come back. We'll go 2 more each leg. Okay, now we'll get into some hip openers. So just marching up with our hip and rotating it away from us. This is going to help our muscles that are right in our, if I'm going to put my hands in my pocket, just at the top of the pocket so you can see half my hands. This is really the muscle you'll be feeling when you do this. These are our hip flexors. These ones definitely get tight when we sit all day. So if your occupation allows you to take either a standing break or let's say you have a nice ergonomic desk that allows you to raise it up and down, getting out of the seated position and working from our standing position here is definitely helpful in helping with muscle soreness and mobility and just overall well-being. 1 more each side. Doesn't matter how much you can rotate, just get a little more movement in here. Okay, so now we're gonna get for the next minute and a half or so, we're gonna do 3 exercises to get our heart rate accelerated a little bit here. We're gonna be kicking behind us here, so some butt kicks. So these ones, like how I like to describe them is, we'll do some high knees in a second here, but my femur or my thigh is pretty much staying straight down towards the ground, and I'm just kicking behind me. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we can go ahead and bring our knees up in front of us now. You can keep your hands in front of you and do a little lap around the room if you have to. 3, 2, 1, and we can finish with some jumping jacks. Even just some, these are some modified ones without jumping. I guess it takes the name out of it. So I might need to rethink that, but just getting a little more upper body agility going here, endurance. 3, 2, 1. All right. So go ahead and take a break. We should be all warmed up now. And as you're taking a break, grabbing a drink of water, I can go ahead and describe our 3 exercises for this morning, or for our first group, excuse me. So just like typical programming for up and moving, this way, I always find myself, if I do 2 groups of 3 exercises, works perfectly for between 30 and 45 minutes. So what we're going to have for our first group here is a wall sit, an exercise on the chair, and then some glute bridges. So this is really going to help with our quads, so like the front of our thighs, and then it's going to help a lot with our hamstrings and our glutes or our butt muscles for the last exercise. So the first one, I'll go ahead and describe really quick, and then we'll get into it. First one is just a general wall sit where I'm going to stand here with my back against the wall. My heels can be in front of me here because I'm getting ready to sit in a chair basically. And what I can do is I'm just going to slide down to a spot that's comfortable. 90 degrees. You don't have to go all the way down. The closer you get to 90, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But even if you come down into a partial squat, that's still great as well, especially since we're holding it for 30 seconds. If you're just able to come down into a half squat, that is perfect because we're holding it for a long time. So that's our first one. If you don't have a wall around you, or if you have nice paint, or if I was at my mom's house, I probably wouldn't be able to drag my clothes on the wall because she'd get upset with me. But if you can't do that, then even some body weight squats are perfect, where just really try to consider, imagine you have a chair behind you, and when you come down, you want to be reaching your butt behind you, we don't want to be on our toes going forward, okay? So that's our first one. Our second one is going to be in a chair. And what we're going to be doing here, this is just a terminal knee extension, and it's a great chair workout that you don't even need to use any resistance at all. What's going to happen here is we'll go for about 15 to 20 seconds for each leg. What's going to happen though is if I use my right leg first, I'm sitting here towards the end of my chair, and I'm just going to kick up and straighten my leg as much as I can. If I can only go to partials, if it gets a little too difficult to straighten it, that's okay. Just try to go half even, just like our wall sits. So we're going to go for about 20 seconds, straightening our leg, really squeezing at the top. So up here, squeeze, 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 bring it down nice and slow, and then come up. So you'll be surprised how much our own body weight can kick our butts here. So you can go ahead and do that for 15 to 20 seconds for each leg. Then we'll switch, right? And then the last one is called a glute bridge. And there's 2 different ways that we'll be able to do this. We'll give ourselves some time to get onto the ground. And then what we need to do is, I'll show you 2 different ways. if I have my legs bent, my back's on the ground, I'm flat here, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using an exercise for our glutes, so our butt and our hamstrings. My hands are on the ground, and all I'm gonna do here is create a bridge. And what happens here is that there's gonna be a straight line all the way from my kneecap, pretty much all the way down to my shoulders. The more I'm able to squeeze my backside, the more activation we'll feel. So then to make it a little more difficult, you can put your feet up on the chair, and then it's creating a lot more of a steeper line here. So you can go ahead and do that for a little more of a challenge, but if we're ready, we'll go for about 30 seconds for each one. We'll start off with our wall sits here, and I'll count us down here. So get set, find a wall, and we'll get going here in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. As we're halfway done here, I'll teach you a safe way to get out of this if you feel like you're too tired to stand up. We got about 5 seconds here. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so yeah, if you're ever stuck, you can just go down nice and slow towards seated position, and then you can get up from here. Because if you're stuck here, sometimes it might be too difficult to stand up, and you might be reaching and falling. So if you're ever in doubt, just sit down. Okay, moving on to our next exercise, our terminal knee extensions in the chair. So I'll go ahead and scoot towards the end of the chair. I'm going to start with my right leg first for 20 seconds. And all I'm doing is straightening my leg. Should be able to get 5 to 7 reps in this time. Three, 2, 1. Okay, go ahead and switch. Three, 2, 1. Okay. So now we'll go ahead and give you a few seconds to get down onto the ground. And for about 30 seconds, we'll go through our glute bridges here. So once again, my knees are bent, back's on the ground, and all I'm going to be doing is creating a straight line from my kneecap to my shoulder. Here we go. Three, 2, 1. All right. Great work. Take a break. We'll rest for about 60 seconds, and then we'll get back into it for 2 more times. All right, we got about 20 more seconds before we get back into it for another trip around the sun here. Make sure my shoes are tied. All right. So we got about 5 seconds here. I'll let you get into position. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. 3, 2, 1. And take a break there. Come join me in the chair. Scooch towards the end of it. And we'll get going for about 20 seconds per leg here, just kicking away. I guess to make it harder, you can always, if you've ever seen like an ankle wrap or like an ankle weight, you can always do that to have more resistance. Or I'll save the next one. We're gonna switch legs in a second here. 3, 2, 1. Another thing that you can do, and it depends on what kind of chair you have. If you have a tall chair where you have lots of space underneath you, you can always put your, you put resistance in like a shopping bag, and you can put your foot through the handle. That can work as well. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Then we'll take a few seconds, get down onto the ground. And we'll get going here for 30 seconds, starting now. Just a lesson here, the closer your feet are to your butt, the easier it's gonna be. So if you walk them out away from you, we got a lot more ground to cover. You should feel this in the backs of your legs as well as your glute muscles or your butt. Three, 2, 1. All right, good job. We made it through 2. So we got one more of this group of exercises. About 30 more seconds, then we'll get back here. Give ourselves time to catch our breath, relax for a little bit. All right. So we'll get into position here for our last wall sit here. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1. And here we go. Remember, the closer you are to standing up, the easier it's going to be. So if your first one was way down here, your second one might be here, and then your third one might be here, because if you put your hands on your thighs, you can still feel they're probably rock solid, and you're getting some muscle work done here. So if you get tired, then that's okay, because we're supposed to. Three, 2, 1, and help yourself up. Then we'll move over to our chair once again. And kicking straight out for about 20 seconds here for our first leg. If you also do need a little help, if it's getting difficult, if you hike your hip up and kick straight ahead, it'll get a little easier because you get to use some more muscles, which is a story for another time, but hiking your hip up and kicking will get a little more easier. Okay, go ahead and switch. Three, 2, 1. Okay, awesome. Then you can come and join me on the floor here. And we'll get into it right away for about 30 seconds. Even if you start off with your feet farther away from you, get a few in. Then you can scooch a little closer. As you get tired, you can still get more repetitions with good form. Three, two, one, and awesome job, everyone. We made it through. I consider that that's a pretty tough group of three exercises. So well done. We made it through that one. So we'll take a nice break, and as you're relaxing, I can go ahead and at least start talking about the three last exercises we have, which are pretty straightforward. We've done them before for sure. All right. Okay. So as you're just catching your breath and relaxing and recovering for a moment, our three exercises now, they're gonna sort of all over the map, and for a good reason, I guess. We were really leg focused for our first one. Now we're gonna do a lot more upper body, but then just some overall aerobic with a nice stretch to finish off. So our first one is going to be a shoulder press. So putting our hands over our head. However, we got one more movement with it. So I have my resistance here with me. What's going to happen is the first part is going to be a shrug. And what a shrug is, so think about it. If you're having a conversation with someone and you say, I don't know, like you shrug, right? So that's what a shrug is. You use your, these muscles up here are called our trapezius or our traps. And to help with those, we need to elevate them. So we need to bring our shoulders closer to our ears. So that's how the first component of the exercise will go. We're going to have our weight or our resistance at our sides. So at our pockets, we're going to shrug the weight, our shoulders towards our ears, make that space smaller. And then we're going to turn our hands into a W and then press overhead. So it's all one fluid motion where I shrug, come up here, turn it into a W, as you can see with my arms, and then press overhead. So it's just one. We'll go through it again. Shrug, up, press. And come down nice and slow. Shrug, W, press. So go ahead and do that for 30 seconds. And then hopefully you have a counter or a couch to put your resistance on, or the floor. Because then we're going to move into some ladder climbers for 30 seconds. So a little bit more aerobic. All we're going to be doing is opposite knee to opposite hand for 30 seconds, get a little more excitement in there. And then our last one, to really sort of slow it down, it's my favorite stretch. The internet calls it the world's greatest stretch. I don't know if I could go that far. That's a big claim. But anyways, the way it works is I'm going to go into a lunge with my one knee on the ground. So I have both my feet on the ground. I'm going to take my right arm if my left one's in front of me. So now I have sort of like a tripod stance. I have three. And what I'm going to be doing is starting with my hand here at my heel. I'm going to be coming up and just rotating to the side. And you should feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades. So I imagine you have a pencil between your shoulder blades. You really want to pinch it. So we're holding. And we'll do that for about 15 seconds before we switch to the other side. So I have my right foot in front of me, left arm on the ground, and then we're just going through with the exact same thing. Okay, so once again, shrugs with a shoulder press, some ladder climbers, and then a nice stretch to finish it off. So if we're ready, we'll grab our resistance, and for 30 seconds, we'll get going here in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So we got shrug, turn into a W, and then press. Shrug, W, press. You could always do these in the seated position as well. As you're continuing, I'll just show you. If you scoot towards the end of the chair, shrug. If you'd like to sit down, you can definitely do this as well. Three, 2, 1. Okay. Go ahead and put those off to the side. Meet me in the middle of the room. And for 30 seconds, we'll climb up the ladder. You can go as fast as you would like, or you want to take a more slow and controlled path, that's cool as well. We can all get up the ladder in different ways, right? We got about 15 more seconds here. Three, two, one. Okay. Now to finish off, we get down. You can put whatever foot forward first that you like. Let me scooch back. Okay. So if my left leg's in front of me, my right leg, or excuse me, my right hand in line with my foot. Start from the heel here and open up, hand towards the ceiling, and then I'm looking up just as well. You should feel a nice stretch between your shoulder blades, right down the middle of your back. 3, 2, 1. Gosh, I almost fell over. Go ahead and switch. Three, two, one, and break. Great job. Take a few seconds here. We'll get going in about half a minute. Okay, so go ahead, grab your resistance. We got 2 more. We gotta go through this 2 more times, then we can cool down. So if we're ready, once again, doing the standing or seated position, whatever you please. And we'll get ready here in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So we got a shrug, turn into a W, and then press overhead. If you need to take breaks, that's perfectly fine too. Three, two, one. Okay. Put those down. Get ready here into some ladder climbers. You can go nice and slow, or a little bit of a hop in your step. So this is a nice overhead endurance movement. It's aerobic if we're moving for a while. And we also get a nice core workout as we're crunching. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Now move into our stretch here. And to help you out with it a little bit, once you get in to your position here, your lunge, you have your hand on the ground. To really make sure you feel it, the closer our hand is to our toes, you sort of just feel it in your shoulder. Even try going behind your foot in line with your back knee. And then you'll really feel a nice stretch in your shoulder, between your shoulder blades, if our hand starts a little more behind us. So as you're doing it, you can see instead of starting up here, if I come back maybe towards my pocket, it gets a lot better. Three, two, one. Put it from the other side. So instead of starting at my toe here, start behind me a little bit, and then really open up. Three, two, one, and well done, everyone. Take a break. We'll go through this one more time. Okay. So if we're all ready to get through this, we'll grab our resistance one more time. We'll start off with the shrug plus shoulder press. We'll get started in 3, 2, 1, and here we go. So a shrug, get those ears towards our shoulders, W, and press. And just to help you out too, we're making a W, but our elbows don't need to be way back. You can keep them, your elbows a little closer if you need to. That definitely helps with some shoulder pain. So keep those weights or whatever a little bit closer to yourselves. Can be a little bit of a funkier looking W, no problem with that. Not very often do we have perfect mobility where we can have our elbows way back. Don't feel very strong there sometimes. Three, 2, 1. Great job. Put the weights down for the rest of the day. Then we'll get into some ladder climbers. At whatever pace you please. Just try to move as much as you can in 30 seconds. Five more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now last but not least, get into our stretch position. So getting that lunge with our knee on the ground, make our tripod position, and then come up here towards the ceiling. Three, 2, 1, and break. Go ahead and switch knees. And come up for one last time here. Three, 2, 1, and great job, everyone. Just take a little hydration break if you need to. And take as much time as you need. When you're ready, you can come join me in the middle here. There's just a nice slow mark to start off with. Even with your hands on your hips. Really focus on getting your breath back. Take nice deep breaths in through your nose. Out through your mouth. And as we're going here, we can start off with just a nice shoulder stretch where I'm going to grab my hand, put it across my body. I'm going to hook underneath it. And I'm going to just pull towards the door here. So this is my right arm, putting it across my body. We're just pulling a little bit here. Three, 2, 1, break. So shake that all out. Go ahead and try it with the other arm. I hope everyone has some beautiful weather wherever they are today. I know we're getting to experience some really, really warm stuff here. So 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we can go ahead and just a nice, we can call these hugs or whatnot, but I know Michael Phelps does them before he gets in the pool and outswims all the Canadians. But what you can really focus on here is, yes, of course, hug yourself, but on your way back, try to really open up your chest, sort of like that nice W. So you should feel a nice stretch as you come back, and then you can sort of just let it loosen out as you go around and give yourself a hug. And this is a perfect transition to finish off with a couple pats on the back. And that is all for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the workout today. Make sure to continue to follow us on all the social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Facebook Live. We got a lot of our recordings, and we'll see you next Thursday at 9:30. And hope you guys have a great day, and take care now.